Hi and welcome to Pontus Point. I will take on one of the most touchy subjects in today's politics, that is the war in Gaza. First, let me outline a few things that I would like to highlight first. Most of people would like to see the world in a very simplified way, that there is one good guy and one bad guy. So if they have a conflict, it's easy to point at the bad guy. The bad guy is to blame. There can be situations where two people in a conflict of two people are both bad. And this is one of them. Cast the blame to the right people. Do not generalize based on group or religion or ethnicity or some other aspect. Cast the blame of those who are able to control and support the bad things that happen. And the really disturbing fact is that when you throw religion into the mix, rational arguments tend to go out of the window. It's very difficult to argue with somebody who, for religious reasons, decided that somebody is good or bad. What actually happens and facts tend to go out of the window. Okay, let's first dig into the population of Gaza. You have the little cluster of people labeling themselves as Hamas. They are the ruling entity of Gaza. But not all people in Gaza are members of Hamas or support Hamas. They just happen to be a political party / terrorist organization running Gaza. And then you have Palestinians. Not all Palestinians live in Gaza. Actually, quite a minority of Palestinians live in Gaza. And not all people who live in Gaza are also Palestinians. And then you have the religious dimension here. Not all Muslims are Palestinians and not all Palestinians are Muslims. Not all Muslims live in Gaza. Not all people in Gaza are Muslims. All of Hamas would be Muslim, yes, but not all Muslims support Hamas. I'll take that again. Not all Muslims support Hamas. Not all Palestinians support Hamas. Not all people in Gaza support Hamas. So if you blame people in Gaza, Palestinians in general, Muslims in general, for what Hamas is doing, you are deeply unfair. Hamas is Hamas, and Hamas is not all the rings in the onion. Basically, the same is valid for Israel here. You have Israeli government. They, first of all, it's a really weak government here because and they are supported by a small number of people, and the participation in this government is very widespread. So you have a number of parties, and it's a very, very fragile democracy in general. So not all people in Israel support the Israeli government. A large share of the population voted for somebody totally different. And also adding here the religious aspect, not every citizen of Israel is a Jew. And not all Jews lives in Israel. So if you are mixing Israeli government actions and derive support by all people in Israel and all Jews in general, you are making a big mistake. That is not the case. Not all Jews and not all citizens of Israel can be held responsible and accountable for what the Israeli government is deciding. Only the Israeli government and parties supporting the actions of the Israeli government could be held accountable for what the Israeli government decides. So casting blame on Jews in general and Israeli people in general for the actions of Israeli government is deeply unfair. And let me just add one more thing here. Anti-Semitism. So looking down on Jews for whatever reason. You can criticize Israeli government for actions of the Israeli government. That is not anti-Semitic. If you are criticizing any Jew for whatever any Jew is doing because they are Jew, that is anti-Semitic. But if you are criticizing them for what they do, objectively, without taking their religion into account, that is not anti-Semitic. And it's legit to criticize Israeli government for its wrongdoings. That is absolutely fair, and you would do that with any government of the world, regardless of their religion. So if you are trying to hide between anti-Semitic and justify basically any action, saying that you are sort of, unreachable to criticism because any criticism would be anti-Semitic, that is pure bullshit. So, let's cast a few things here in stone. The Hamas attack on the 7th of October 2023 was horrendously bad. Terrorism. It was horrible, period. Nobody in their right mind can justify what happened that day. Hamas is to blame, not Palestinians in general, and not Muslims in general. Hamas only. A state protecting itself against terror, domestic and foreign, is absolutely fine. A state should be able to defend itself against threats against its population and its existence. However, proportionality needs to be taken into account. If you kill a number of Hamas members and in the process kill 53,000 people who had nothing to do with this, that is absolutely not taking proportionality into account. That is using excessive force for achieving your targets. If you're also, these are just the mortalities, these are people killed. You have, I don't know, between 2 and 3 million, I'd say, in Gaza, people starving and being pushed around inside the land where they live, whereas the military from Israel are chasing them around, hunting for Hamas. That is also totally unproportional. If you are inflicting that kind of harm and killing that many people who have nothing to do with the conflict, you cannot say that you are on a just and justifiable mission to eliminate terrorists. But the Israeli government is to blame for this. Not all Israeli citizens, and surely not all Jews in general. So many Jews in other countries are being harassed for what the Israeli government is doing, and that is just so wrong. That is anti-Semitic at its core. So, if you are taking sides here, if you are favoring one of those two parties, neglecting the wrongdoings of that party, I'm sorry, you have a senseless bias in that perspective. That is just so wrong. So please stop attacking Muslims for the actions of Hamas. Stop attacking Jews for the politics of Netanyahu or Bibi. Not all Muslims are responsible for what Hamas is doing, and not all Jews are responsible for what Netanyahu is doing. You cannot equal those, and you cannot make life shit for Muslims and Jews because of what two extremists are doing. That is just so unfair. And let me also add this little thing in the end. My personal reflection of what is happening in Gaza is that the Israeli defense is attacking people in a way which attacking the Greek mythology Hydra is. In the the Greek old fairy tales, you cut off the head of the Hydra and several new heads grew out. And I think this is exactly what is happening in Gaza now. The Israeli military force are killing a number of members of Hamas, but they are ensuring that Hamas will have the opportunity of recruiting so many new people. If you are a teen boy or a teen girl in Gaza, and you see that your uncle is killed or your grandmother, her home is demolished and she's running away from poverty and from starvation, and if you've seen that your entire society, your entire world is collapsing on you because of an external party, wouldn't you hate that party? Wouldn't you want to join the people who are standing up against that oppressing parties? Even if they did something bad in the past, they are at least fighting back on those oppressors. So I think that by generating so much collateral damage, by causing so much pain, starvation, and internal migration inside the Gaza Strip, the Israeli military force are doing their absolute best of ensuring that Hamas will have they can recruit thousands of new members faster than they lose the old one without even breaking sweat. I think this is a stupid way to fight terrorism. This is breeding terrorism, and this is leading in the totally wrong direction. So shame on the Israeli state with Netanyahu in the forefront, and shame on Hamas for your dirty deeds. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.